All right, in this explainer, we're going to tackle one of the most misunderstood concepts in lean management, Kanban. We're going to slice right through all the confusion and make visual management something that's actually simple and effective for you.
So let's dive right in. The single biggest myth, the one thing that causes most of these implementations to just completely fail, is this idea that Kanban is just a board. A simple grid with some columns and a bunch of sticky notes.
Yeah, it's not. Let's be perfectly clear about that. A board without any rules behind it, that's just decoration for your wall. I mean, sure, it might look productive, but it's really just an illusion.
Okay, so if it's not just some decorative board, then what is it? Well, Kanban is a system, and it's a really powerful one designed for one single purpose: to manage and, more importantly, improve the flow of your work. Here's the core definition you really need to lock in. It's a system to 1. Control the flow of work, 2. Prevent your team from getting completely overloaded, and 3, and this is the big one, to make problems so glaringly visible that you just can't ignore them anymore.
Look, if you remember only one thing from all this, let it be this. The entire purpose of Kanban, its whole job, is to protect the smooth, predictable flow of value from the very beginning to the very end. That's it.
So how does that actually protect that flow? Well, it does it with a set of non-negotiable rules. And these are not suggestions, okay? They are the actual engine that makes the whole system run.
And this, right here, is exactly where most teams get it wrong. They put up the board, but they completely ignore the rules. And without those rules, the system has no power. It just collapses into another glorified to-do list.
All right, let's break down these 4 core rules. First, you have to visualize your actual workflow, the way things really are, not how you wish they were. Second, and this is the heart of Kanban, you have to limit work in progress, or WIP. This forces you to finish things before you start new ones. Third, you pull work only when there's capacity. You don't just push it onto the team. And fourth, you make all your rules explicit. No hidden stuff. Everyone knows exactly how work gets done.
Now that first rule, visualizing the workflow, that's your foundation. Its entire job is to turn all those invisible problems, all that friction, into signals you just can't miss.
This quote really says it all, doesn't it? You simply can't improve what you can't see. Visual management isn't about fancy dashboards or reports. It's about putting the stone-cold reality of your workflow right in front of everybody's face.
And this right here is the absolute key. Without that second rule, without limiting your work in progress, your board is just a shared to-do list. It has zero power to control flow or to show you where the deeper problems really are.
I mean, just look at the difference here. On the left, you've got a push system. It's totally overloaded, it's chaotic, and it hides all the delays. But on the right, a Kanban pull system. That creates control. Bottlenecks become totally obvious, and that paves the way for a smooth, predictable flow.
A proper Kanban system, it becomes a diagnostic tool. It starts talking to you. When you see cards piling up in one column, that's a bottleneck. An empty column? That means the next step in the process is starved for work. See items getting blocked all the time? That probably means your policies for how work moves are unclear. The board literally tells you where to look.
So this brings us to a really critical shift in mindset. See, Kanban isn't about making people work harder or faster. It's about making the system work smarter, so you can finally move from chaos to control. And you have to understand this. When a WIP limit gets hit and work has to stop, it's supposed to feel uncomfortable. That friction, that tension, that's a feature, not a bug. It's the system creating just enough pressure to force the team to swarm on the real problem and solve it together.
Let's just call out the common failures directly. Number 1, and by far the most fatal mistake, is having no WIP limits at all. Others include shuffling cards around but not actually finishing the work, or using the board just for status reporting, and of course, just ignoring the problems the board is screaming at you to fix.
At the end of the day, this is the only success metric that matters. If you put a Kanban board in place, and it doesn't fundamentally change how the team collaborates, how they prioritize, and how they solve problems, then the implementation has failed. It's really that simple. So let's bring it all together. This was never about being organized or having a tidy board. Kanban is a strategic tool for taking control of your workflow. Your path forward from here is actually pretty clear and actionable. First, visualize your real process. Second, apply some strict limits to the amount of work you have in progress. And third, use the signals the system gives you to find and fix your bottlenecks. And that's the real power of Kanban. It's not about the board on the wall. It's about that journey from chaos to control. You master the system, and you've unlocked one of the most powerful principles in all of lean thinking.